Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me, as ever, is the Prince of Perversion, Aaron Joseph Pita.
Recently knighted.
Yes.
Sirloin of
Circumcision.
that was
Yeah,
good.
and it was botched.
Yeah.
And it was a botched circumcision.
Good.
Tasty.
It's bad. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's,
Looks like Frankenstein's forehead.
yeah, dude.
And then his monsters.
Yeah, it's got bolts in the neck.
Looks like the bride of Frankenstein's hair.
With a shock of white.
Ooh. Shock of white.
Now, who's that over there?
Over there is the Duke of Dick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The Duke of Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Sultan of Smut.
Yeah, I like it.
Glosses of cock.
Yeah, glosses of loads.
Cock losses.
We did a special little thing here. We decided to after my Ruby profile.
Ruirosa.
Yeah, Porfirio Rubirosa.
Playboy.
To dial in on these Playboys. Because after we finished the episode, you were like, "Oh, there's a lot of these guys."
Yeah. It's quite a bit.
And Laura Crawford, of course, did the research for mine and for Ruby as well. And at first, that was going to be a twofer. So I have the other guy, the friend of Ruby's, that I'll be doing later. We're gonna kick it off here.
Let's kick it off with little guy I learned a little bit about. Another one of these
Playboy.
Basically the same type of guy. Not
Good guy.
I wouldn't say as as extravagant of a lifestyle or as famous, but very, very similar. This is Don Alfonso Cabeza de Vaca y Leighton Caravajal Yare Conde de la Mejorada Marquis de Portago.
Wow.
Jeff to his friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that short for?
He went as Fawn to his friends. It was,
Okay.
As Fawn?
yeah.
Okay.
Alfonso.
Yeah.
Alfonso Portago was born in London in 1928.
Foggy London town.
He was educated at Biarritz in France. He was born to a noble Spanish family. He gained the title of the Marquis de Portago. Like I said, he spent much of his early life in France and Spain. He was he became articulate in 4 languages. Spoke English with a distinctive British accent, and he was heir to the title in Spain, his Spanish noble family. He was a millionaire as well. Among his ancestors were explorer Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. You may know he marched across Mexico, forming an army along the way, and then started killing a bunch of Indians.
Jesus Christ.
His father was Antonio Cabeza de Vaca, 10th Marquess of Portago, who died after a polo match while taking a shower.
Oh.
I'm not playing polo, Alfred.
Kind of a Mr. Hand situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was showering with the horse.
His paternal grandfather was Vicente Cabeza de Vaca, the 9th Marquess of Portago, mayor of Madrid.
Oh, wow.
And the president of Puerta de Hierro, which was a very exclusive country club. He was his grandfather was a prolific golfer, etc. His mother was named Olga, and she was an Irish nurse.
Olga, the Irish nurse?
Olga Leighton.
Ah.
That's
Look at you.
That's the E. Leighton part of the last name.
Got it.
He was uniquely gifted as a youngster. He was an athlete his whole life. He wasn't a big man, not a particularly muscular guy, but he had wiry strength,
Yes.
great endurance, freakish eyesight.
Really?
Yep, and a quickness of reaction that was legendary amongst his friends.
Oh, good for athlete.
Catching flies.
Yeah, with chopsticks or whatever
Yeah.
Spanish people use.
You're Spanish. You should know.
Works. He developed a passion for sports, particularly the equestrian activities.
Yeah. These guys are always polo guys.
Yeah, polo, and then I've also steeplechase.
Mm-hmm.
And later motor racing and bobsledding.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting to find out. His father, like I mentioned, was the Marquess of Portago. Also a prolific gambler and one of Spain's best golfers. He once won $2 million gambling at Monte Carlo Casino.
Oh, boy.
The previous king of Spain, Alfonso XIII, was his godfather.
Mm.
At 17, Alfonso won a $500 bet and almost lost his newly acquired pilot's license by flying a plane under London Bridge.
Oh, boy.
Jesus.
And that thing is falling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Falling down.
Yeah.
Falling down.
Yes.
I keep hearing that.
Yeah.
And he twice entered the Grand National, which is a horse. It's a very famous steeplechase.
Okay.
As a gentleman rider, which is like amateur.
Oh, okay.
Like I say, amateur.
I'm just a gentleman.
Yes, amateur.
Some friends maintain that he sharpened his reflexes by having them throw knives at him, and he'd catch them all by the handle.
Fuck.
Funk, funk, funk,
Oh, my God.
funk.
Damn.
That's if you didn't catch this. The space work was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's lost on the audio only.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could feel it.
Yeah. Then,
Yeah. Oh.
Funk.
Yeah, I'm closing my
Is that
eyes.
better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really worked.
Aye, aye. You missed. One party trick he had was to juggle raw eggs and not crack them. And another,
What a party.
And apparently he was adept at sleight of hand, prestidigitation,
Oh.
close-up magic.
yes, I love prestidigitation.
One former girlfriend described to an interviewer in a magazine that his spectacular sex life was, quote, fully acrobatic.
Woo!
Back
He was probably
handspring.
doing those anal acrobatics.
Dude,
Yeah.
the anal acrobats, I mean, I'll tell you what, they're not quitting before the final match.
No. And there's no one's complaining of juicing.
No.
No, they're not complaining about it.
But it's going on.
What's going on?
Nobody complains.
1953 New York Motor Show, Ferrari importer Luigi Cinetti invited him to the Mexican Carrera Panamericana, which means Pan American race. Fawn recalled to a reporter that involved sitting next to him while he drove. I was terrified. Their Ferrari 340mm failed on day 2, but he was hooked on the thrill
Yeah.
of driving.
Just like Ruby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah.
You going fast
Polo, fast cars, sledding.
And Ferraris.
Yeah.
and throwing knives.
Yeah.
Fawn bought a secondhand Ferrari 250, which they co-drove in the 54 Buenos Aires 1,000 kilometer and Sebring 12 hours. After that, he got a Maserati A6 GCS, followed by and a Maserati. And now he was getting real good at the old heel toe. You ever see driving shoes?
No.
You've seen them, but people are wearing them for fashion. The heel, like the sole, goes up and back around the heel, so you see like the tread on the heel.
Yes.
It's so that you can do the gas brake clutch.
Oh, really? Because it's resting on the floor.
Yeah,
Yes, I see.
you know, you see all these fucking weird Euro tools wear them. You know, when
Yeah.
they're not wearing their Pumas
Yeah.
or Adidas,
Mm-hmm.
they're wearing these weird like fossil driving shoes.
Yeah,
or
they're doing all
something.
that heel to toe shit.
Ferragamo,
Awesome.
heel to toe, like ass to mouth. man.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. These are ass to mouth shoes.
That's my ATM shoes.
So at Le Mans, he led the 2-liter class before retiring his leg and then scored his first road racing win at Metz. His mother then bought him a sports car, OCSA. I have no idea what that is. And he took to the German Grand Prix at Nürburgring, where he met Maserati's driver, Onofre Marimon, and who crashed and died. He thought he was very shaken of this because he was a friend of his, and
Fuck.
he still raced the next day
In his honor.
in his honor, but he crashed and
In
was,
his honor.
Scooped up into an ambulance. He was really pissed off about that, so he beat the driver, dumped him in the back, and drove back to the paddock with the seat with his ass hanging out of his pants.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
He beat up the ambulance driver?
Yeah, he gave him a little whomp on the head, a judo chop.
Yeah, judo chop.
That night later, found him at the casino at Bad Neuenahr. You know where that is?
No.
Bad Neuenahr,
No.
where his bruises were developing nicely, and he won he won $10,000 gambling, which he invested in a new sports racing Ferrari Monza, which he shipped to Mexico for the Carrera.
Wow.
In the Bahamas Speed Week at Nassau, he then won 2 races and placed second in a third. Enzo Ferrari noticed him,
Oh, really?
and he's like, this guy can drive my cars. And so he was allowed to order a Ferrari 625 F1 car for the 1955 season. And while training in May of that year, he understeered into the bank of the track and broke a leg.
Oof.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Let's see.
Doesn't happen with horses.
No, because when the horse breaks, like you shoot it.
Yeah.
Some womanizing here and there, not too bad. Apparently he was a bit of a teetotaler.
Ah.
Maybe not totally teetotaled, but really was not an imbiber of alcohol.
Right.
But he did love to gamble, party, steeplechase.
Sure. I guess
Better.
it's easier to juggle eggs if you're not drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and catch knives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can try.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
In 1956, he enlisted his cousins to help represent, he created Spain's first bobsledding team for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they missed the bronze by like a quarter second.
No way.
Yeah.
That's nuts. The first time?
Yeah. Dude, cool runnings, eat shit. You know?
Yeah.
That's a phrase I never thought we'd say.
Yeah.
Make it drop. He lived on Millionaire's Row in Paris, 40 Avenue Foch.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that is?
No.
Me neither. Like I said, he didn't drink very much, but he obsessively played pinball in his favorite cafe bar
Oh, really?
with his goal just to win free games and play all day.
Wow.
I mean, that's a
I bet
dream.
he was really good at it.
Yeah.
Well, the reflex thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, an acrobatic sex life. Gregor Grant, the editor of British weekly Autosport magazine, said that a man like Portago appears only once in a generation, and it would probably be more accurate to say only once in a lifetime. The fellow does everything fabulously well. Never mind the driving, the steeplechasing, the bobsledding, the athletic side of things. Never mind being fluent in 4 languages. There are so many other aspects to the man. For example, I think he could be the best bridge player in the world if he cared to try. He could certainly be a great soldier, and I suspect he could be a fine rider. Like I said, he found his calling as a race car driver. He signed with Ferrari after Enzo was like pretty nice. He's actually in the Ferrari movie. Portago's in it.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody portraying Portago.
Oh,
is
really?
in it, yes.
In the newer one.
Yeah, the Michael Mann Ferrari motion picture.
I got to see that. I got to see both of them.
He was famous for his daring driving style. I think they would call him a 2-car driver because he put so much wear and tear. His abrasive, high-risk driving style put a toll on the brakes, the clutches, and the transmissions that it took more than one car to finish these races because he's doing these long races.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow, did we fucking shit out halfway through the race?
Yeah, I mean, he's really...
He's gunning it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just, the cars weren't what they are now.
Yeah.
And
he's
these
going
guys
for
are just
it.
like in open tops with leather hats and goggles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the roads are probably rougher.
And then, like, again, in the kind of reflex regard, then, like, your speed and accuracy and all that is like you kind of know the moves you can make
with the equipment you have.
in like a split second. So I could see that bearing a toll on the car.
Yeah, when he when he broke his leg, he he hit a patch of oil at 140 miles an hour, and he was thrown out of the car. And that's when he broke his leg.
He's even good at crashing.
Dude, he drove Formula One.
Oh God.
He competed in 5 World Championship Formula One Grand Prix. Prixes.
Yeah.
He earned a podium finish in 1956, getting second place. By the way, he's 27 at this point.
Wow.
He was a precocious philanderer, they say, popular with women, and as he was unpopular with fellow drivers who saw him as arrogant and fucking all their girls.
Yes.
We got a picture of him. We got a few pictures of him.
Okay.
Looks like a real, what you think of when you think of a Spaniard guy. A Spaniard.
Yeah.
Not, you look at me, you don't think that. You look at this guy, you go,
Yeah.
he's got that thick black hair.
Mm.
You know, he's got that face. He kind of looks like the guy, the Matador guy from a Punch-Out. He's always had a cigarette dangling from his lip.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That he's the fat guy behind.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's doing something there. He's got that thick black hair.
Yeah.
Always gone back. We got more. We got a couple more. Yeah, look at him there.
Look at that kerchief.
Dude, the kerchief is like so choice as a race car
Matches
driver.
the car too. Yeah.
Yeah. Very live
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Could have been a Matador. Surprised he wasn't.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Maybe
yes.
he was, and we don't even know.
Who's to say?
What do we got next here? That's him with the very
The SIG and the goggles.
SIG dangling from his lip. Very typical outfit of a race car driver at the time. The shoddy helmet.
Very handsome man.
Very handsome
Yes.
guy. And the goggles and the whatnot. Maybe we have one more.
He looks like
Yeah,
he looks
that's
like
typical.
he looks like a fucking like a little bad boy.
He is a little bad boy.
Hey, he's kissing this lady.
Now
Yeah.
that would be well. We'll get to the lady. So
Okay.
when he was 20, he married Carol McDaniel, a former model who he barely knew, who was several years older than him. They had 2 children together.
Jesus.
And then he
Barely knows her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he knows her enough to make a child.
He tried to divorce her very soon after, so he could legitimize a Mexican marriage certificate to Dorian Lay, a fashion model, 11 years
Yes.
senior.
Oh.
And then there was a third lover, which is the woman in this photograph. This would be the last woman he would ever kiss. At the Rome checkpoint of his last race, he stood on the brakes, locked everything up, waited for this woman, kissed her, and held her in his arms until an official told him to move the fuck on.
We got a race here.
The woman in question was Mexican actress Linda Cristian, ex-wife of actor Tyrone Power,
No way.
who had switched from the man who played Zorro on screen to his real-life incarnation, Alfonso.
Wow. It's not just acting anymore.
So,
Wow.
so this photograph would be known as Il Bacio della Morte. My Italian's not so bueno.
Got it.
If this was Spanish, it'd be
I know you'd be
B minus.
You'd be yeah.
Il Bacio della Morte, the kiss of death. Because this would be the last kiss he would ever get from a man, woman, or anything.
Horse.
This would. This was during the 1957 Mille Miglia race, a grueling road race in Italy. While driving a Ferrari 335S, he suffered a fatal crash that not only claimed his life and that of his co-driver, Edmund Nelson, but also led to the deaths of 10 spectators.
Oh! God damn it.
Because they're
certainly more injured.
they're standing pretty close, right?
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't be.
I mean, I don't think you had to. We'll get to it.
Okay.
It's an Italian open road endurance race over 1,000 miles, hence Mille Miglia. An uncharacteristically nervous Portago worried if it was too dangerous to run such a long course when it was impossible to know every corner, even with a navigator. You know, so many of these, the race car drivers, they can run tracks with their eyes closed.
Right.
You know, they just know the timing down. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the reflexes. They compared reflexes from like a F1 driver and like an NFL cornerback.
Yeah.
And like, it's out of it.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, we should pull that up on the Patreon.
Yeah.
And they'll also show videos of them driving simulators with their eyes blindfolded.
Yeah.
And they're running it perfectly because they know every turn, they know every bank, they know where, like, downshifting and all, and it's incredible. So these long open road endurance races, it's impossible to know every turn and corner. Yeah, even with the navigator. So he was pretty nervous, but he went on with it, and he was in third place, and he was going 150 miles an hour on a straight road in Lombardy when a tire exploded on his Ferrari.
Oh, shit.
The car cannoned over a canal, ricocheted back, and killed 9 spectators, his co-driver Nelson, and Portago himself. A concrete milestone was gouged from the road by the car and thrown into the crowd, killing 2 children.
Oh, my God.
His own body was found beneath the Ferrari in 2 separate sections.
Oh, wow.
In later interviews, Linda Christian, the woman who gave him this kiss of death, you stupid fucking bitch.
Jesus. Come on.
I'm just kidding.
What is that, Spanish?
Yeah, this is what the fucking beat. In later interviews, Linda Christian remembered the moment almost like a premonition. She said, I had a strange sensation with that kiss. It was cold, and it caused me to look for the first time at Nelson seated behind him. He seemed to be like a mummy, gray, ashen, as if mesmerized. He had the eyes of someone who had suffered an enormous shock. The kiss of death photograph was published in the days following the race in the newspapers. Life magazine gave fame to the photograph after it was published in its May 27th issue under the title, Death Finally Takes a Man Who Courted It.
Wow.
His legacy lives on as a reminder of the perilous nature of motorsport and the continuous efforts to improve safety in the sport.
Yeah.
Mainly having a top to the car.
That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Tires that don't explode off. And a whiff.
Yeah.
A good steering wheel.
Oh, my God. 2 children?
Yeah.
From a stone kicking up?
From a stone? Yeah.
I mean, a milestone. So, like,
oh,
you know,
yeah, sure.
like basically
Yeah.
a tombstone size
Yeah,
thing.
you're right.
Another one of these fucking guys dies in a Ferrari.
Yeah. Speaking of tombstones, I visited Tyrone Power's tombstone, and it's in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And he was, I believe, according to
Scotty Bauer?
Scotty Bowers, a doo-doo queen.
Is that right?
I believe he was into the.
Do you think that Alfonso...
Caca,
scat?
Yeah.
He was a bit of a scat man, Carruthers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Portago tasted a little poo-poo on her mouth?
It could have.
And he was like, somebody fucking kill me.
He could have thrown him off. Thrown him off. And it might have been why the other guy was looking like he was shocked.
Like, shit.
Very, very nice, Aaron.
Thank you very much.
It's very, very kind of beautiful in a way. It's haunting.
He was 28.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Horses.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
These guys.
Yeah. Going fast.
Crazy.
They just, they love the fucking, I don't know, I guess it's just like the hobbies you get into when you're wealthy and have a long name.
Yeah, you're not, when you are born wealthy, you're not playing a lot of pickup basketball games.
It's not a lot of handball courts.
No, he also was an
sure.
exceptional highlight player.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Highlight.
These are the rich games.
Yeah. Or like,
Miami.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Highlight. Those balls go fast.
Yes, they do.
They do. But he could handle it.
He could.
Pinball wizard.
Come on, dude.
Sure plays a mean pinball.
Mm-hmm. Matt, what do you got for us?
All right.
Can I get another one of these?
Yes. We have this episode brought to you by Bud Light Chelada.
Con Clamato.
Now it's in a 12-ounce can, so it doesn't have to get all warm, and you don't have to be reminded of how warm the clam piss in it is.
Right.
But it's a nice, tasty beverage.
It's got a little bit of the tomato.
It's got a little bit of tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, it's usually a breakfast drink for a lot of people.
Yeah, the guys at the liquor store by my work at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Buying 2 of the tall boys.
I told you about that one guy that came to work with me, and he was just nakedly doing it at like 8 a.m. And then he was telling me about how he used to sell Coke to a guy that was paralyzed from the neck down, and he would have to get out the little straw for him on the little plate, and he would have to hoover it. He'd have to let the guy
boof him.
Can you imagine paralyzed from the neck down and just fucking yayed out of your mind?
No, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine? God, I guess you can still talk, but
he's like
somebody jerked me off.
Yeah.
For 6 hours.
Yeah, the nurse is going, whatever, fuck it.
Fuck it, man.
This is like the first conversation I had with a guy too.
Well, you get 24. Well, you get 48 ounces of Clamato in the morning.
Yeah, it loosens you right up.
Yeah.
48 ounces.
Do the tall boys?
It's got to be 24. Oh, but he had 2. You're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh, man, did I ever tell you about it? It's like, you never told me anything.
We've never
Pours these
talked about
fucking- He pours his big old cheladas into a big gulp.
Puts a little Coca-Cola Slurpee on top.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, what do you got?
Well, what I have here is a professional Playboy
Oh.
of sorts. Because I was looking up because I was going to try to do a lady. It's really tough to search for female Playboys.
Yeah. You get a whole other search
Yeah,
result.
but then I remembered I had one that was recommended after Caress Crosby, and then I was like, okay, that should be a fully. And Laura was nice enough to point me in this direction.
Okay.
So this is about Denham Denny Fouts. He was born May 9th, 1914, Jacksonville, Florida. His father was the president of a broom factory and later an ice and milk company. So I guess almost ice cream.
It seems like you always have a guy from a broom factory.
Yeah, I had a guy from a broom factory.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Kellogg.
yeah.
It used to be big business, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How else would you get dirt out of your place?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Electric fan?
Yeah. The kids blowing on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting rags on the kids' feet. Dance.
This is mainly from there's the info on this guy is kind of all over the place because at some point most of everything about him is there's actually someone says his life is a myth just because there wasn't a lot most of his life comes from stories other people tell.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these guys are too, because it's wealth and access, and people don't have it. So a lot of these things happen behind closed doors, and they're said just by other rich people.
Right.
We're supposed to believe it.
Which honestly, most of history
Yeah.
is just like how people telling, hey, you hear this?
Yeah, so there was like a bunch of things I had to piece them together, but mostly comes from Arthur Vanderbilt and Cecile Paul writing about him. As a teenager, his father sent him to D.C., where a relative got him a job working for the corporate arm of Safeway. At some point, he left there to go to New York City. And that's like the guaranteed stuff we know.
All right. Worked at Safeway.
Yep.
Went to New York City.
Because sometime in the early 1930s, around 1934 when he's 20, through a roommate in New York City who worked at the Manhattan bookstore, he meets the best-selling author Glenway Westcott.
Now, what did Glenway write?
Well, he won the Harper Prize in 1927 for his novel The Grandmother.
Oh.
And in his time, he was as famous as Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Wow.
He was part of the Cafe Society of Expats in Paris after World War I.
Okay.
And he knew all the great writers, and he was openly gay himself.
Oh.
And Denny starts visiting him, Denham, going by Denny, and he starts visiting Westcott because he's an interesting character and he's got a lot of worldly smarts. And so Denny eventually gets around to asking him. He says, "You know everything. I want you to tell me, how does one manage to get kept?"
To become a kept man.
Yes.
Oh, like taken care of.
And
Yes.
Zip.
Yes. So, exactly. To be patronized. And Westcott says, "You must never use that word kept. Think of something you want to do that takes money to learn. Then ask someone for help and guidance. You'll get much more money that way than by coming at it straight on." And so he kind
Appeal
of
to the ego.
he teaches him how to move through this society and play this sort of game. And so he spends the next year or two working at it. It also helped that he was beautiful. Everybody was obsessed with him as soon as they saw him. He described thin as a hieroglyph. He had dark hair, light brown eyes, and a cleft chin. And I'll pull you up this picture of him. Here he is sleeping.
Oh, he's a pretty boy. Look at him, just sleeping like a little angel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very good looking.
And here's...
Oh, wow. Yeah, tremendously handsome.
Yes. And probably maybe bisexual, but definitely gay.
Okay.
Well, when you're rich, you can do that. They let you.
In Paris? Come on. It's going down.
It's called gay Paris.
Yeah, that's right.
According to Westcott, Denny was, quote, absolutely enchanting and ridiculously good-looking. He had the most delicious body odor.
Ooh, come on. That's nice.
Like fine Roquefort.
Westcott said he stole a handkerchief from him once, just so he could...
Oh, huff it.
Denny used his looks to become a regular patron, a regular of high society in New York City. Jimmy Daniels, a Harlem Renaissancer and nightclub singer, was one of Denny's patrons and said about Denny, he was the most beautiful boy anybody ever seen. His skin always looked as if it had just been scrubbed. It seemed to have no pores at all. It was so smooth.
Oh, that's nice.
That's funny. I saw a license plate the other day. I took a photo of it. I forgot to send it to you guys. This one kind of threw me for a loop. I'm gonna just show it to the camera here. I'll show it to John first. What does that say there?
I love your boy.
Proud Navy mom.
Oh.
I love your boy.
I love your boy.
Okay.
That's kind of awesome.
I love your boy.
I love your boy.
Yeah.
Your boy.
And your boy loves me.
I hope it could be I love you, our boy.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Uh-huh. Now, it wasn't long before being a part of this high society that Denny was swept away to Europe by a German baron. And I'm not sure exactly when, but it probably was around this time that Denny also became while he was in Germany, a frequent companion of Wolfram von Richthofen, the brother of the Red Baron and Field Marshal of the Luftwaffe.
Oh.
Wow.
One of the articles said he was kind of apolitical.
Okay.
Not the Baron, but Denny.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into that if you're trying to get kept.
You have no opinions on Paul.
No.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't understand them. I have smooth skin.
Teach me.
I have a smooth brain. I have smooth skin. And I give good brain.
At some point, Denny and the Baron got into a quarrel, and Denny skipped town, hitchhiking down to Venice. While hitchhiking, he was spotted by the chauffeur of a Greek shipping tycoon. Chauffeur stopped and picked up Denny with the limo and brought him to the tycoon. No phones in those days. The chauffeur just needed a really good eye, you know? And so from there, he spent all his time with the Greek tycoon.
Are you not saying the name for a reason?
No, no one knows the name.
It's not Niarchos.
I was going to say, yeah.
There's probably more. Who knows how many Greek shipping?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
How many, like...
Yeah.
I mean, they're a seafaring nation.
They are.
There's got to be at least two.
Mediterranean access.
I mean, cradle of democracy.
Sure.
Noted anal sex enthusiasts. I mean, everything's checking out here.
Yeah. And so he spent a lot of time on the yacht until Denny fell in love with a sailor on the ship.
I love your boy.
Oh.
And he and the sailor raided the tycoon's safe and jumped ship, eventually reaching the Quisasana Hotel in Capri, which was a well-known queer haven at the time.
Oh,
nice.
Now, they didn't sink with all the jewels and stuff?
It was mostly cash.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the Fire Island of the Mediterranean.
Capri.
And the sailor left when they ran out of money, and Denny would spend his time sitting around Capri in his finery to try to pick up other patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, a hotel...
When you're rich and good-looking, they're called patrons.
Yes.
When you're a hustler on the streets, they're Johns.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. It's legal when they do it. Eventually, the hotel would have Danny arrested for lack of payment. But as he's being dragged out the lobby by police, in walks Evan Morgan with his wife. And Morgan tells the cops, "Unhand that handsome youth, he is mine."
Oh, my God. In front of his wife?
Yes.
Holy fuck.
God, man.
Yeah, he was married twice, but he died alone. Here's a...
Who did?
Evan Morgan. Evan Morgan.
He was married, but he died alone.
He died alone.
He had an interesting house. We'll get to that in a second.
Man, it would have been interesting to see Denny go to jail, though, see how he was kept there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. This ain't Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, my
You get that
God.
smooth skin.
Yeah.
Your gums are going to be smooth.
Oh, my God, no. So Morgan pays Denny's bills, and he brings him along on this grand tour he's on with his wife. They're in the middle of. They eventually make their way to China, where Denny develops an opium addiction, and Tibet, where he learns archery. Some of the memories you make along the way.
I bet opium makes you so good at archery because you're just like, your heart beats like barely. It's not like,
Yeah, your hand is super still.
yeah. As long as you're on the heroin.
Yeah.
Or as long as you're on opium.
Well, those are all good points.
Went to China, got really into opium. Went to Tibet, got really into archery.
Mm-hmm.
What a life.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I should be in jail right now.
Now, in May of 1934, Morgan's father, so this is still at 34, he's 20 years old right now.
Fuck.
In May of 34, Morgan's father, Evan Morgan's father, the Lord Tredegar, dies, and Morgan becomes the second Lord Tredegar, Lord of the 500-year-old house in Wales.
Wow.
And then he took it upon himself to, I'll look it up for the Patreon, but he had like, he was big into mysticism, and he had a whole room of magic, and it was a real swinging place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And fucking Denny's ready to burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever crossed paths with Crowley,
Yeah.
who frequented a lot of these manors.
Right,
He
right.
bought that house that
High
Jimmy Page then bought. And
High society magic guys.
yeah,
For sure.
homosexuality, drugs.
Opium.
Morgan's weekend parties were infamous. They were attended by H.G. Wells, Marchesa Casati, Lord Alfred Douglas, Lancey Nancy Cunard, the painter Augustus Johns, George Bernard Shaw, William Butler Yeats, Aldous Huxley, and Aleister Crowley.
Hey,
nice
come on,
work.
it all connects, baby.
And Crowley wrote in his diary of Morgan saying, he's one of the few people I know who can throw a party.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's a picture of...
The way the Crowley says,
Yeah.
this guy knows how to throw a party.
Yeah.
What kind of shit's going on there?
well, here's a picture
Fucking
of
hot
probably...
twinks on opium. That's
That's
what's going
That's
on.
shits on class tables.
That's Evan Morgan.
Yeah.
That's the
that's-
Lord. He's
That's the guy who was married to a woman?
twice.
Died alone.
Happy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I gotta get
yeah.
me some trunks like
Yeah,
that.
you
You
should.
do. We
He
all
looks
do.
like he's packing or wearing a diaper.
Yeah. I think he might be a little hung in the schlung.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably hanging out with Denny all the time.
It's true. He's always chubbed
Full
up.
chubbed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least quarter.
Perma.
Even in the cold
Perma.
pool, he's got a quarter chub.
Pool's warming up.
Yeah, it's full of piss.
It defies science.
Now, is that one of the frequent guests of these parties was the Crown Prince Paul of Greece, who was living in exile in England
The
because
crown prince living in exile. Got it.
the Greek assembly in 1924 had abolished the monarchy.
Yeah.
And the prince,
Cradle of
infatuated with Denny, whisked him away to cruise around the Mediterranean on the prince's yacht.
I wouldn't be going back to those kind of. I mean, that Greek guy's still floating around out there.
Well, he's not going to stop. He won't come after a prince.
True. Very true.
Now, eventually, this goes on for a bit, but eventually Denny makes his way back, and he's in Paris now in 1935. 1935, he meets a man named Peter Watson. Watson's father had invented margarine and made a fortune in World War I when Butter was rationed.
Butter.
Butler, did I say Butler?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they might have been too, yeah.
That guy got rationed.
I think the butlers all got drafted.
No, there's no
yeah,
way.
dude. How do you think Alfred knew how to fucking build all that shit?
Moss away.
Back when I was drafted, when they started rationing me, I was down there.
They didn't even say what side I had to fight for.
They
They
gave me
just
some-
said, get in there.
They get in there. They gave me a tub of country crock shed spread, and I said, I can't believe it's not butter. And they said, exactly.
Now, Peter Watson, his father also owned, I forget which milk company or something. But when his father died when he was 20, and he inherited everything. And he basically just, did whatever he wanted. And one of the things he did was publish the very famous magazine Horizon, which was a literary magazine whose contributors is a list of basically every famous Western author of the time. T.S. Eliot, Orwell, Aldous Huxley, Henry Miller, Sartre, Bertrand Russell, Dylan Thomas, H.G. Wells, Eudora Welty,
Fuck.
Virginia Woolf. It was the hottest thing. And the night they first met, Peter Watson writes, he took me back to his hotel where he gave himself cocaine injections.
Oh, he learned that from Crowley, dude.
He might have, yeah.
Better not
He
tell.
didn't get it from Iceberg Slim.
Better not tell that guy in the wheelchair about it.
You can shoot this stuff.
He doesn't have to talk like that.
But he
This is a
does. He still
fucking game
does.
changer.
He still does. Now, Watson, however, does not leave the apartment and instead sets up Denny in a hotel room and just you can stay here. Watson's lover Cecil Barton would call Denny the great destructive love of Peter's life. And Watson would also say he had an erection whenever he was in a room with Denny.
Holy fucking shit, that rules.
Dude. Yeah, walking Viagra.
Yeah. Dude, that is awesome. He always, I'm sorry.
Dude, he's in.
Hey, can you get out of here for a minute?
Did he ever sit in a room and Denny walked in behind him and he was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's like, wait. My Denny sense is tingling.
Something seems amiss. He's like, Denny, go inside. My mom's here.
Denny, you go hide somewhere on the ground. I'm going to use my dick like a dowsing rod.
Like a fucking metal detector.
So
Found him.
There you are.
So Watson Watson sets up Denny in a room on the Rue de Bac and furnishes the room with Picassos. And Denny is also at this time having his expenses paid for by other rich men and women in Paris.
And women.
Yes.
Oh.
His cigarette cases were Fabergé, and he always had copious amounts of heroin, opium, and cocaine.
Oh my God, copious.
Copious opiums.
Oh. Holy copious opiums, Batman.
He was patronized by famous French actor Jean Marais, and he was a prodigious storyteller, often rewriting his own history if people weren't aware of anything he said previously. But now, was he lying when he said he preferred adolescent boys, or that he lost his virginity to his younger brother?
Shit.
Oh.
No one knows for sure.
Damn.
You think I'm hot?
Jesus Christ.
What do you get a load of? Dunk it.
The cream will rise to the top.
Ew.
Imagine like building up your own mythos by saying you lost your virginity to your younger brother.
Yeah.
Just to add fuel to that fire.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
I'm
sick, guy T.
Now, Watson and Denny would fight often, mostly over Denny's drug use. And every so often when they fought, Denny would go back to his Greek prince. Now, in October of 35, the Greek monarchy was restored to power with a referendum with supposedly 97.8% approval.
As it should be.
97 after they deposed the monarchy?
Well, so here's a statistic of what happened in those 11 years that... the Second Hellenic Republic had tired most Greeks out with, in only 11 years, 23 governments, 16 coups d'etats, and 1 dictatorship.
That'll do it.
Yeah, monarchy.
Yeah.
Back to
Remember those fancy guys with the crowns and all that?
Remember when everything was stable
Yeah. We're all terrified of one guy.
instead of 23?
Yeah.
Each government lasted on average 6 months, and a coup was either attempted or organized every 42 weeks.
Oh my God.
You know, they don't know what to do if there's no king.
That's right.
Fuck.
How the mighty have fallen.
And this is Greek, Mike.
These are
Yeah.
the people, the Socrates.
Yeah.
Greece.
And Plateau.
So the Greek monarchy was restored to power, and with this, the prince obtained a suite of rooms for Denny at a hotel in Athens. In Athens, 1938, he hung out with Picasso and Dali decorated Denny's suitcases with labels that said Midnight Motel and Hotel Sordide, or possibly they were a gift in lieu of payment. Through these artists, Denny...
Well, he would, I think it was either him or Picasso.
Mm-hmm.
I think they both would just like doodle on napkins and leave them as payment.
Yeah,
for sure.
He through them he meets surrealist artist Brian Geeson, who was described as looking like Apollo or Dionysus or Narcissus. Beautiful man.
One of those Greek guys.
The night they met, Denny brought Brian up to his room and phoned the Greek prince, and he asked him to send over, quote, one of those royal guards in ballet skirts with something for us to smoke. And Brian said that night they got royally stoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, royally.
Now, later in 38, Denny and Brian would make their way to Paris one night at Igor Stravinsky's premiere of his new concerto, Da Martin Oaks. Denny and Brian were joined by American writer Jane Bowles and her husband, the composer Peter Bowles. That night, Denny, back at his apartment with them, he tried to impress the guests by shooting flaming arrows out of his room into the Champs-Elysees.
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
And, that's where the opium comes in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and this isn't so bad. he's like lying on his side, shooting the arrows.
Just lighting the room on fire.
Sacre bleu!
Yeah.
I think I hit a guy.
I hit a peasant.
After the breakout of World War II, around 39, Watson sends Denny back to the U.S. for safety, and he's traveling with Cyril Connolly's ex-wife, Jean Blakewell.
Oh, yeah, because this is what year?
39.
Yeah. Things are heating up.
Cyril Connolly was the editor of Horizon Magazine, a famous writer and editor. Watson, as a parting gift, gave Denny the Picasso painting Girl Reading.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Which he donated for an art show while he was out west here. There's a LA Times mention of him.
Mm.
Can I take this on my carry-on? Overhead?
Girl reading.
She is.
Some of her face is all fucked up.
Yeah.
I know, but
They're all like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, the painting titles that are super obvious. It's totally made fun of perfectly in Grand Budapest Hotel. Boy with apple.
Yeah.
Boy with apple.
Yep.
And he's dangling it by the stem. It's so fucking stupid.
But also, if you're Picasso, you don't want people to ask you what the picture's about.
Yeah, because you kind of, with a Picasso, you kind of have to say what it is.
True. Yeah. You're right.
What the fuck is that? Girl reading.
I see it.
You gotta cross your eyes.
Magic eye. Yeah.
Schooner?
Schooner? What's a schooner? In California, the Jean Bakewell introduces Denny to novelist Christopher Isherwood. And together they lived a non-sexual arrangement with Denny staying off drugs, becoming a vegetarian, taking up meditation.
Oh.
And then he was shipped off to the civilian public service camp for conscientious objectors.
Oh. Camp.
And
he definitely objects. It's like, you can't.
I'm not political, dude.
Yeah, you can't throw this Twinkie dude with, you can't have him going like, I lost my virginity to my brother.
Yeah, you throw him next to Tom Hanks and Vin Diesel on Normandy Beach. Things aren't going so well.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys have morphine, though?
Yeah. It's,
Oh, I got shot. I need some morphine.
I need some heroin.
Suck your cock.
And he did want to join Isherwood's. He was into some sort of religious meditation. I forget what it was, but his teacher was like, "No, that guy's not serious about it."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there at the civilian public service, Denny befriended a group of black workers, and it's rumored that he became a patron, or Lena Horne became his patron. The singer Lena Horne.
Really?
Oh, a woman.
Yes. Then after that, he got his high school diploma, studied medicine at UCLA, and went back to his Paris apartment when the war ended, where he started doing drugs again.
He's a doctor now.
Yeah, exactly. Isherwood would see Denny in Paris, and he would write about this experience in a chapter in his book, Down There on a Visit. Denny's character is named Paul, and the narrator visits his room in Paris, and this is how he describes it. Propped up in his bed, he was a corpse white, and his face looked as though it had firmness of hard wax and was semi-transparent. There was an air about him of being somehow preserved and at the same time purified. His skin seemed to be absolutely without blemish. Indeed, he was marvelously, uncannily beautiful. He wore a heavy skiing sweater over pajamas. Gigi, his dog, laid on the bed at his feet. And then Paul tells Christopher that he uses opium, and he says, I hear you've been working in the movies a lot lately, so perhaps you can give me some money. For Paul proposes they go for dinner at the Ritz. The Paul who appeared that evening had a sinister sepulchre elegance, Dorian Gray arisen from the tomb. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit with a black hat and a neatly rolled umbrella. Gigi was at his heels. He eats only caviar, and then again he asks Christopher for money to buy opium, and Christopher gives him 30,000 francs.
Damn. That'll get you high.
Yeah, what's the secret to that good skin? Ancient Chinese secret.
Laying around.
Yeah. Conscientiously objecting.
Isherwood would later call Denny the most expensive male prostitute in the world.
Wow.
And the last of the professional tapettes. Tapettes is French slang for gay guy.
Gay guy.
As well as Isherwood, Denny also became a muse for Gore de Vidal. Isherwood wrote in his memoirs, Denny treats Gore with the slightly sarcastic tolerance of an elder uncle. And Vidal would write, at sundown, like Dracula, Denham would appear in the streets leading his dog down St. Jerome-des-Prés. Vidal also described Denny as un homme fatal and good-looking in a cadaverous way.
That's the second time they mentioned a sepulcher, and they mentioned, that he's a good-looking corpse.
Yeah.
Probably not getting a lot of sun.
Yeah.
No, big indoor.
He loves your boy.
Indoor kid.
Yeah, big indoor kid.
Yeah.
According to Vidal, Denny's room in Paris was only furnished with 6 Venetian chairs and a bed with a magnificent Pavel Chelichu painting hanging over it. And he was a Russian surrealist painter.
Uh-huh.
This is this is the painting.
Whoa.
Dude.
It's called Adonis. One of the descriptions says it's red, but this is from the Sotheby's website. Says this is the painting that hung above his bed.
Dude.
Now, Aaron, describe what you're seeing there.
Now, imagine you are laying.
You're looking down at like a cove kind of situation?
I feel like you're staring upwards.
Yeah, you're looking
You're
up.
staring up.
It's called Adonis.
Yeah,
You're seeing a man from height. It looks more like Adonis. It's fucking, we're seeing
a
some.
naked man. Mostly,
from the back.
from the back.
From the lower back.
Yeah.
Standing up with hands on hips. And below him.
You see his cock and balls through his thigh gap.
Yes. And below him, we see a man in a pink cowboy hat. Standing at the ready.
Yeah.
And another one laying down.
Presumably on opium.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll throw that up on the something.
Oh, yeah.
We'll check that out.
Yeah.
It's
And
a good photo to have up in your boudoir if you're.
yes, above the bed and next to the bed, and painter Michael Wishart, who fell in love with Denny upon meeting him in 1947 when he was 17 or 18 or so, described the scene as so. Above our bed hung a life-size painting by Chelichu, representing a rather fungoid named Adonis. Painted as though from between the model's parted feet, the focal point was his scrotum, which loomed large in the middle of distance. By hanging this painting upside down, or sometimes upon the ceiling above us, Denham created a very vertiginous perspective, wholly suited to our lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, if we're being honest here, what we're really thinking about here is the bussy.
Yeah.
It's in there.
You're getting some back sack,
Yeah.
The back sack is nice.
but you're looking at some walnut crushers of some glutes.
It is amazing how infrequently you see this vantage point.
Speak for yourself.
Unless you're one of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, for these guys, it's art imitating life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Surprised it's not close up.
Yeah. I got to look at more gay erotic art.
Yeah, Tom of Finland, bro.
Yeah, now's the time. Tom of Finland.
Tom of Finland is amazing.
Yeah.
The last bookstore has a lot of good Tom of Finland stuff. I hadn't looked through it before. I had a friend visiting, and they were like, do you know about this? And I was like, not really. And they showed, like, we just flipped through the book together. It was fucking incredible.
Yeah. Pretty cool gay shit.
Very.
Now, Michael Wishart would become addicted to opium during his time with Denny.
Huh.
In 1948, Truman Capote's first novel, Other Voices, Other Rooms, is published. On the back of the book jacket is this picture of Truman Capote.
Ugh.
What?
That's not Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay, but this looks, this is a better looking man than Philip Seymour Hoffman, if we're being honest.
I guess.
It's a good picture of him.
Yes.
It's a great picture of him. I love that vest, too.
Now, when Denny saw this picture, he mailed a blank check to Capote with one word written on it that said, come.
How'd he spell it?
C-O-M-E.
Okay.
Interesting. A blank check from, like, does Denny have blank check money?
Well, he has money, yeah.
Yeah.
But who
He's
knows?
the most expensive prostitute in the world.
Yeah.
True.
He's got some scratch.
Male prostitute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Capote did. And by this point, though, Denny would just be in bed most of the day, impotent and deep into an opium addiction.
Ooh.
Constipated.
Capote would sit by the bed and listen to Denny's many stories over, really only over the last, it's been 15 years.
About how you fucked your brother. Is that a good Truman Capote?
Yeah,
It was
that's
pretty good.
Yeah. And still, Capote said of Denny, he was the best kept boy in the world. To watch him walk into a room was an experience. He was beyond good looking. He was the single most charming looking person I've ever seen. And he also said, had Denham Fouts yielded to Hitler's advances, there would have been no World War II.
Huh.
Wow. Damn, we should have drafted this guy.
Yeah, we should just Send him there. Just
God.
like Tiananmen Square, just walking up to a tent.
Yeah, that would be the conscientious thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Conscious director.
Come on, that was good.
That's
You like?
pretty good.
Now, before long, the lavish light caught up with Denny. He became a recluse, in bed like a corpse, sheet to his chin, a cigarette between his lips, turning to ash. His lover, the socialite Anthony Watson Gandy, had to remove the cigarette before it burned his mouth. Later in 1948, Denny's busted for drugs. He moves to Rome, and it's there on December 16th. He's found dead from hypoplastic aorta and hypertrophy of left ventricle.
Heart problem.
He was 34 years old.
Fuck. Damn. And it was very hard to tell if he was dead because he always looked like
He
that.
always looked like
Honestly, he looked great. He looked better than ever.
And they brought him to the mortician. He's like, and again?
He brought him to the mortician. He was like, "There's nothing for me to do. He's perfect."
Damn, that was awesome.
I'm out of business.
The gay Playboy, gay boy.
The gay.
Why was it Playgirl, not gay boy?
There was some. Why is Playgirl? Not,
Yeah,
Well,
it's supposed to be for
it's a pink. Supposed to
for women.
Yeah.
But
But it's not.
Yeah, no, it's for everyone.
Remember when they put John Wayne Bobbitt in there after they
Yeah.
refashed pennies?
Yeah, that's definitely not for women.
Yeah, it's for
They should have put John Wayne Gacy in.
it's for Frankenstein.
The John Wayne Bobbitt's dick was a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Had the stitches and the bolts and everything, like you said.
Yeah, the whole Megillah.
Fire bad.
Yeah. What do you think of this guy?
A real star, a rising star, going out with a.
It's just
Bang,
crazy that just looks. Everybody just fucking freaks out.
It's such like it's the one simple trick to get rich people to do shit for you.
Yeah.
And it's an great equalizer. Like it helps if you are rich to get into the doors.
Yeah.
And, or get into the room, but fuck, man.
But like it's interesting too. Like with these other guys, there's the polo, there's the car racing, and there's this element of danger to woo women and stuff. And this guy's like, no, I just stay inside.
Yeah.
I just stay inside and look good.
Yeah, well, I think Westcott.
Well, he had like the storytelling and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was fun. Like people said, he was fun. Every time he showed up, it was going to be fun.
Yeah.
But I think like Westcott told him, think about what you want to do and get someone to pay for it. Basically, ask them to teach you, and so he kind of did. And eventually, it just turned out he just wanted to do. Because of the opium addiction, he just eventually just only wanted to do opium. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And so he did, and that didn't last that long. But in 14 years, he really rose through the ranks.
And hobnob.
Isn't it kind of interesting though too? Because but you said like heroin and cocaine as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem that opium would be the least sort of addictive. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe he just liked smoking and
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can just do a lot of it.
it's safer. You can keep doing it.
Well, apparently not.
Well,
But like morphine too, is like seemingly more addictive. And then heroin, heroin was created to be like the methadone of morphine, and they made something even more addictive.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It got you off morphine.
Yeah.
It got you on heroin.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the other way around?
No, I think heroin was created, and then with methadone they finally got it kind of right.
Yeah.
But it was still another high.
Yeah, just methadone just kind of gets rid of the sick and doesn't get you blasted.
But I think there's something to, and I'm gonna buy
Some opiate.
Vanderbilt's book about him because I read that it mainly it talks about the people he met more than him, but it talks about this rich society of artists,
Yeah.
and especially like gays who are in this upper class where they could be who they wanted to be,
Right, because they're rich.
They were shielded with talent and money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then too, like also like homophobia is obviously far more out of control, and then there's just like a secrecy aspect.
yes, and if you hear someone you can trust who's fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's hot, and you guys can fuck.
Right.
Yeah. And when you got Crowley in the next room eating shit burger sandwiches and boofing opium,
Yeah.
you look pretty normal.
Yeah. You got Tyrone Power knocking around doo-doo queen.
Actually, real shit sandwiches.
Yeah.
Him and fucking Crowley probably had a fucking smorgasbord.
Zorro. Man.
Yep.
All right, that is really fun. Let's take a little break, and we'll be back, and we'll do mine. We'll wrap this up.
All right.
Hey,
Be right back,
boy.
folks. Ahem.
Oh, boy.
Anytime.
Yes.
And we're back.
Say,
Fellas.
he's ready.
So I was just saying to Matt outside, the interesting thing about this and what we want to describe to the listeners, I think that you might find in the Ruby episode and in the two you gentlemen just brought and mine forthcoming, it's just that we see a class here of, multi-continental people that are just in, like I would say from like, especially the 40s to the 60s.
It's that pre and post war period we were talking about at the end of the Ruby Rose episode.
Yeah.
Like, that period of time, like no other, allowed for this type of person. The advent of jet travel, electricity, phone,
Yes.
and things like that. You couldn't have this kind of life before.
Yes.
The instantaneousness of communication, the massive fortunes that were made.
Yes, and the reappearances of all of these characters. It's Crowley and the writers and all that stuff. It's like me and Matt were saying, like, they probably just saw each other all of the time.
Yeah.
The kinds of places you're going, the kind of galas and things like that.
Oh, will Virginia Woolf be there?
Yeah.
Who's afraid of that bitch?
I think women are the most beautiful thing in the world, and I think that's how it should be for a man. That's what I think creation wanted. There may be people who find giraffes or hedgehogs more beautiful. I think women are the most beautiful thing in the world. These are the words of Gunter Sachs.
Gunter Sachs.
Gunter Sachs.
Danke.
In the profile, of course, of Ruby, Porfirio Rubirosa, the character Gunter Sachs makes an appearance for some James Bond-inspired hijinks on the seas that gold member kind of thing they were doing.
Well, I guess.
Well,
They went on an expedition for a treasure hunt in the open ocean.
But no. This is when they were actually making the kind of parody of Goldfinger.
Oh right, they were shooting a fucking
But Ruby had a big dick, so I'm saying gold member.
smart.
Yes.
I get it now.
So they like the ladies, the two of these guys. They were bros, type bros from way back when. And that was like their sense of humor. That was them being boys, getting on, just like the three of us.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
You know what I mean?
On a yacht, whipping out our hogs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Helicopter in it.
Ruby Rosa was the center point of Gunter Sachs's social circle in the late 50s, early 60s. Their usual group included a dozen or so men of wealth and influence, including Ali Khan, a socialite and ambassador for Pakistan. Sachs also tried to help Ruby launch a perfume business that went nowhere. And then he also arranged Ruby's funeral.
That was a party.
Yeah. Multi-talented.
He was not just a wingman. He was very much a playboy in his own right. And a trendsetter. Time magazine referred to him as the German Lothario.
Lothar.
Yeah.
Germans didn't have a word for that.
Yeah, which is very rare.
Yes.
One friend said of him, he wanted to persuade the world that he had more than champagne bubbles in his head. But also, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can go diving as quickly as you want.
He was born into a class, society, culture that expected industriousness, but he reveled in play. And he left the world in 2011, but his legend endures.
And it's spelled Sachs,
Yes,
like Goldman Sachs.
correct.
But you say Sachs, right?
He was born on the 14th of November, 1932, making him a Scorpio.
Hey.
Astrology was a major fascination for him later in life. The astrological profile for a person born on November 14th is as follows. Quote, "You are a chameleon, always changing, full of talent, drive, and passion for life. Scorpios born on November 14th love to reinvent themselves and what it means to be successful. They do not like to stick to a preordained path, but rather immerse themselves in a world of art, intuition, love, and imagination." He had an older brother named Ernst.
Sachs.
His mother Eleanor gave birth to him in Mainburg Castle, close to the southern German city of Schweinfurt.
Schweinfurt?
Schweinfurt.
Pig Fort?
Yeah, Pigtown.
Pigtown.
Pigville.
Pigtown.
I was born in a castle in
Alamo.
Pigville.
Forget about it, Johann. It's Schweinfurt.
Isn't your mom from Pigville?
Wherever she's at, Pigville.
The name Sachs happens to be a common surname among Ashkenazi Jewish people from the German state of Saxony, but it would appear that Gunter's ancestors were not Jewish. Willie Sachs was the owner of Fichtel & Sachs, a company founded by his grandfather. They were a leading maker of ball bearings and car and motorcycle parts, small engines, clutches, shock absorbers, bicycle hubs, and brakes.
And socks.
Yes. They based their operations out of Schweinfurt, and they became one of the biggest auto suppliers in Germany.
Is that right? Which is a big place to supply autos.
That's right.
One writer said, the boy knew early and well how metal was assembled. Gunter, born in southern Germany in 1932, and the Nazis make an appearance in his life story. Across the world, fascist parties have often drawn support from leaders of industry, men in finance, and generally the upper crust of society, like the British royal family. His father, Willie Sachs, was friendly with some top Nazi brass, namely German Göring, and Heinrich Himmler.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Big names. Big-
Fichtel & Sachs was a big wartime supplier. Its clutches were installed in every German tank.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's good money in
Its
that.
clutches were installed. Sorry. It's alleged that he was an honorary SS officer. Willie, the dad.
Wow.
Well, with all those clutches, I mean.
In 1935, his parents separated. He was just 3 years old. His mother took the boys and raised them in Switzerland.
Good move.
He had a typical lonely rich child's upbringing, looked after by nannies and at home and sent away to boarding school. He was educated at Institut auf dem Rosenberg in St. Gallen, Switzerland. As of last year, Rosenberg is the world's most expensive school. When you account for the tuition, meals, housing, extracurriculars, and personal expenses for students, it comes to around $175,000 a year.
Yeah, you're not meeting janitors' kids there.
No, you're meeting
No.
fucking Kim Jong-un.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
You're shooting hoops with the un.
The college years. Have you heard this Four Non Blonde song?
I love it.
What's up?
Smoking a joint. You know what I'd like to do to my uncle, dude?
One of these days,
We have these anti-aircraft.
I was just going to strap him to the cannon and just watch.
I just want to see his fucking thigh fly.
And I was going to put all my cousins next to him so they could be fucking splattered with his entrails and viscera. Fuck them, man.
All right, you want to watch Faulty Towers again?
Have you guys seen Fight Club?
At school, Gunter would be remembered more for his pranks than his intellect.
His pranks.
Yes, it's a simple prank. Willie, the father, was arrested by the American military in 1945 after Berlin Falls.
Ha.
Oops.
He could have been hanged and or handed a lengthy prison term, or just lost his ability to work legally.
Instead,
His family could have been ran out of the country, but he was officially determined to have been just a follower and got released.
The clutches didn't even work.
With the vetting of the American military, he was, quote, fairly clean. Fichtel & Sachs could operate business as usual. The company was crucial to the new German economic recovery.
That's convenient.
Just business as usual, baby.
yeah, well, you gotta have a business recovery, otherwise you just have another.
At least
Right.
I'm not being paper-clipped like those rocket fools. I get to stay in the fatherland. Making money hand over fist. So Sachs was studying mathematics and then economics at the University of Lausanne. And in Switzerland, it's the second oldest university in the country and one of the world's oldest universities to be in continuous operation. He appeared to be preparing for taking over the family business. The early 50s was a transitional period for high society. Aristocrats in old Europe kept with the same society routines that had survived the war. Austerity programs made elegance and glamour seem passé. The ultra-wealthy spent time at the same golf courses, tennis courts, and polo grounds through the Riviera and the Alps. Throughout the 50s, in the early part of the 50s, Gunter played and competed in tennis, diving, skiing, and bobsledding.
Hey.
Part of the St. Moritz Olympic bobsled run is named after him. When he was 23, he made a marriage with the student Anne-Marie Faure in 1955. They had a son, Rolf Sachs.
Rolf Sachs.
Born August 10th, 1955. 3 years later, a phone call would upset his whole world. His father, Willie, had committed suicide in a hunting lodge after a long depressive period. He needed to assume a greater role in the company. He became deputy chairman in charge of international operations for Fichtel and Sachs, working alongside his older brother, Ernst. He'd smile and say, "I was never photographed going to the office with a briefcase." After the suicide of his father, Gunter's wife, Anne-Marie, also passed away.
Oh.
In his autobiography, he explained that she died as a result of an anesthetic defect or medical error during a minor operation following a car accident. Rolf was now without his mother at just 3 years old, the same as Gunter himself. After the loss of his wife, he relocated to France, which his son Rolf would later describe as a brave move. Quote, "It took a special character to go and live in Paris in 1958, just 13 years after the war. As a German, it was probably quite difficult." Rolf
He had a lot of money, I bet.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But also, that's also, like they were saying, to be an aristocrat, to be that wealthy, was not looked upon as a like had happened before.
Well, now, particularly, and Laura points this out in her research here, particularly in Germany, where you're supposed to be seen as a guy that is building the new Germany, so they don't want you in Paris throwing money around.
Yeah,
they're like,
that's right,
hey, you
right.
should be
Here.
you should be doing that
Get back
here.
to Schweinwald.
Yeah, go back to Pigville. What's your motto? Rolf claimed at this time that his father did not have huge amounts of disposable cash. He would spend many afternoons gambling with extremely wealthy men in Paris. He was an excellent card player. Quote, "He wasn't that wealthy then. Father would play cards with friends in the afternoon, and he would invest his profits in art. At the time, nobody was really buying art. People were building up their businesses. Everything had been shattered. He bought works by artists like Yves Klein, Jean Fautrier, César, and Armand, prime representations of the Nouveau Realism school. He also had art in formal works, including pieces by his friend, the artist Fautrier. During the early years of World War II, Fautrier's studio was a refuge for intellectuals and artists in the French resistance. None of them were famous then. Rolf explained his father's motivations. He bought it for the love of art. He also dove headfirst into the dating scene, or as a magazine put it, quote, "His response to his wife's death was to hit the bright lights of the Playboy world."
There we go.
Yeah.
He was also one of the 100 richest men in Germany, one of the most eligible bachelors in Europe. It helped that his French was actually better than his German. Switzerland.
Right.
And he spoke a few other languages as well. He had, quote, "movie star good looks in addition to his bank accounts, charm, and breeding."
Breeding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are Laura's words. Laura starts talking about the breeding. We
Yeah.
gotta have a firm eyebrow raised.
Does she have a big footnote explaining?
No. He had a very individual sense of style at a time when fashion was in flux. Men of industry were not usually the tastemakers that set the tone for menswear. Gunter wore a, quote, "uniform" of 4 pairs of white trousers, 6 blue shirts, and 2 blazers. When Michelangelo Antonioni copied his look for the movie Blow Up, Gunter famously complained. Another earlier film alluded to his style called Plein Soleil. Soleil, a work adapted from Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley. In 1959, he was dating the sultry Anglo-Austrian actress Mara Lane. She was a leading lady and model-born Dorothy Lane Bolton in Vienna. Her mother was a Russian pianist, and her father was a British oil executive. She studied dance with the Viennese Ballet before her family moved her to America. By the 60s, Gunter had accumulated a very fine collection of toys. He had speedboats, yachts,
Okay.
hand-built cars,
Nice.
and planes. Not to mention the world's finest sports gear, camera equipment, and more chronometers than most countries' navies. He broke bobsled records and skied the world's most dangerous courses.
Pretty cool.
The dailies in Paris called him Saxy. He had like a fucking Bex, he had like a tabloid name.
Monsieur Sexy.
Sexy.
Yeah. In the gossip columns, society columns. He's counted among those who discovered the still pretty unknown French fishing village called Saint-Tropez. He and his peers made Saint-Tropez the most fashionable destination for the young and fabulous. Until the beginning of the 20th century, Saint-Tropez was just a fishing village and military stronghold. In Operation Dragoon, it was the first town on its coast to be liberated during World War II. In the post-war era, it became internationally renowned beach resort. French New Wave artists and musicians flocked there to frolic in the sun. Many sources claim that Gunter hooked up with one of the Ruby's ex-lovers, Soraya Esfandiari Bakhtiari, in 1962. Soraya had been queen of Iran, the second wife of the Shah.
Oh.
Boy.
They'd gotten married in 51, but faced several pressures as a royal couple.
Yeah, he sent the Iron Sheik over to fucking knock on some doors.
Yeah, he put a camel clutch, and then he put a clutch in every tank.
Camel Clutch, that's a great name.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think Rommel used that.
Get yourself a deal, buddy.
After a few years, it was clear that Soraya was infertile, making the marriage to the Shah even more tumultuous. The Shah suggested that he could take a second wife to produce an heir. She was like, nah. She offered that he could abdicate and
I'm going to go with the guy with the good breeding.
She offered that he could abdicate and let his half-brother take the crown. The Shah was like, nah. And they announced their divorce. The Shah, nah. In March 1958, they divorced. So the Shah bought her a penthouse in Gay Paris.
Okay, yeah.
House, Playboys, this is awesome.
Pretty good deal.
Estimated to be worth $3 million. She also received $7,000 a month alimony, which would continue until the Shah was deposed in 1979.
Thank you, CIA.
Frankie Roosevelt Jr.
She was also granted several vehicles, including Rolls-Royces, Mercedes, and various pieces of extravagant jewelry. After her death, her Harry Winston platinum ring with a 22-carat diamond sold at auction for $838,000. Oh, God. One piece of jewelry.
What a piece.
Once Gunter and Soraya went public with the relationship, his status as the ultimate male consort was confirmed. Their relationship was not long-lived, but from that point forward, glossy magazines were constantly printing photos of Sachs accompanying heiresses, divorcees, and movie stars. He escorted the Swedish actress and model Britt Ekland and Aristotle Onassis' ex-wife, Tina.
Wow. And his other ex-wife?
He described the role He described the role of Playboy as, quote, a man who inspires women with his charisma without losing their respect. Rolf recalled that his father had dated Marina Doria, a Swiss biscuit heiress, and
of the biscuit fortune.
Yes, of the Swisskit.
Yeah.
And a champion water skier. He'd watch her going back and forth in front of their house on the French Riviera, being pulled by his dad's friends on his speedboat. Gunter launched his own chain of boutique fashion shops called Micmac in 1965.
Micmac.
Yes. Ruby passes away after the crash in Paris. He took on
Ferrari.
Mm-hmm. He took on the dangerous role of drying a widow's tears. He romanced the still young French actress Ruby's widow Odile Rodin.
No.
In 1966, Gunter was dating. In 1966, Gunter was dating the German model Heidi Balzer. She was best known for her acting work in the 1964 movie Cover Girls.
Yes.
65 to 72, Gunter serves as president of Munich's Modern Art Museum.
Oh.
He decorated his homes and his hotel penthouse suites with incredible art and furnishings. He became one of the art world's most preeminent celebrities. He collected works by Kandinsky, Francis Bacon, Max Ernst, Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, Tom Wesselmann, Jean Fautrier, René Magritte, Salvador Dali, Mel Ramos, Jean Tinguely, Marshall Race, and Alan Jones.
Pretty cool.
He would put the Lichtensteins in his bathroom. His kitchen had a Warhol Campbell soup.
Uh-huh.
If you were so lucky to stay in his guest bedroom, you'd see a Mel Ramos banana split.
Oh, cool.
Rolf was surrounded by art and had a major influence on his childhood. Rolf said, I was very much aware of the art in the house, and as an 8-year-old, I knew every painter. I knew every painting. I had a very strong...
Yeah, the Nazis probably gave him all that stolen art. His dad was an honorary SS. They probably gave him all that shit they fucking robbed.
I know. I think he was really in on the French realism stuff on the ground floor, and then he just became known as an art guy.
Cool.
He said I had a very strong relationship with the art with all the art we had. Even though he did take photography, documentary filmmaking, and his work in the industry seriously, German people thought of Gunter Sachs as the crown prince of pleasure. While they were working on the production lines and offices making Germany's recovery possible, he was out living it up on the international party scene. He always paid attention to his investments and family companies, assuring that he never fell off the list of richest Germans. People were envying him for his bohemian lifestyle, his indulgences, and others were condemning his lifestyle. He had homes in California, London, Paris, Munich, and Switzerland. German businessmen were supposed to be rebuilding the economy, not outspending the proceeds so extravagantly. He had the imagination and the funds to live as he wanted and the energy to do it all. Gunter Sachs and Brigitte Bardot had traveled in the same circles for many years. but they really connected at a dinner party in early 1966. She had just, she was at the height of her film career and international celebrity. She'd say, he romanced me like James Bond.
Ooh.
Gunter Grant.
He saved her from a henchman?
Yeah.
Shark.
Yeah.
Razor.
Somebody almost threw a shoe at her head. He courted her grandly with an ostentatious gesture guaranteed to attract her attention. He arranged for a helicopter to fly over her villa on the French Riviera in Saint-Tropez and drop over 1,000 red rose petals.
Oh my God.
Some of which struck her, causing scratches.
And
Thorns.
he goes, it was just the roses. And he goes, and then I threw my 2 wooden suitcases out. And he goes, and I jumped in myself. And then I walked up on the shore. And she was more excited by that than anything.
I rappelled down like a Navy SEAL.
Did a triple Lindy.
He said that
Superhero landing.
He said that she liked that even better than the roses. She wrote in her diary, it's not every day a man drops a ton of roses in your garden.
No, that's true. A lot of the times it's trash, or maybe someone pukes, or
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, thank you. It's not. But
I'm glad you brought that up.
Not every day.
Yeah, sometimes the guy pukes in your garden.
She had said, I'd already known and loved many men. I'd had passionate affairs. But that evening, I was hypnotized. I seemed to be flying, as if carried by Gunter into a fairy tale world I had never known and would never know again.
The fairy tale land known as Schweinfahrt.
You're making it fart at the end.
Yeah.
Schweinfahrt.
Pigfart. He was born in a castle in Pigfart. A few months later, he proposed. She accepted. They got married on Bastille Day, July 14th, 1966, setting a standard that many other celebrities would follow. The festivities took place in Las Vegas, baby.
Where else?
She wore an orange mini dress and no shoes, and he wore his hair long and his shirt unbuttoned.
Tight.
His best man.
Vegas, man.
Very
best man
hot.
was the helicopter.
Yeah, Elvis impersonator.
Yeah. When the German middle class got a load of the wedding photos in the magazines and newspapers, they were both shocked and delighted. Sachs gave her 3 rings, 1 of red rubies, 1 of diamonds, and 1 of blue sapphires, which is kind of like the French flag, you know? Their union was viewed as a reconciliation between the 2 warring powers of France and Germany.
Oh.
Wow. It's like Eurovision, but with a wedding or something.
It was really
Yeah.
it is amazing that
It's the EU, basically.
it has that power, you know what I mean?
I mean, just like a royal, monarchs would intermarry, to create alliances and quell rebellion.
It's like that fanfic I read of Macron and Merkel.
Oh boy, was it erotic?
Oh boy.
When Newsweek reported the story, they mentioned Sachs' reputation as a big lady killer.
That was a positive phrase.
The undaunted Mrs. Sachs at the time said, I have never known a man like him. I feel mad, serene, wonderstruck. I have arrived at the end of a long journey. They honeymooned in Tahiti.
Cool.
Despite their, very romantic beginnings, their lives were still very separate. They didn't have a key to each other's apartments in Paris.
Who does?
Rolf had great things to say about Bridget as a stepmother.
Oh, I bet.
She's always getting stuck in the dryer.
Oh, it's incredible.
Oh, God. Stuck in the dryer.
Doesn't wear shoes or panties. Wink, wink.
He said, she was very kind to me, very sweet. I have only the fondest memories of her. This is also what he said about his father's parties. He made some of the most spectacular parties. Everyone would dress up, and there was always wonderful music. His dad could also sport a wicked sense of humor.
Oh.
Once he did a party where he played as if there was a holdup and everyone was surrounded and people were getting frightened.
Oh my gosh.
That's beyond a sense of humor, I feel like.
And it was...
He loves the pranks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was only a gag. We're not really invading France.
Again.
And he said for him it was more about having a good time than just having the wealthiest, most influential people around.
You gotta have a good time.
You have to. What are you doing?
A lot of the fun people surrounded him, people who were spirited, who were good laughs. The photo magazines were following them with bated breath, producing some outstanding images of the couple, the best with Sachs as Mephistopheles, Bardot as nubility incarnate, and Salvador Dali as more or less himself at her birthday party. And that's
And she's nubility incarnate.
Yes.
And what was he? What was Gunter?
Yeah, that's for you.
Mephistopheles.
Yes.
Yes. Salvatore as more or less himself.
Yeah, you know, the
which
weirdo.
is a costume.
It is, yeah.
Also very Mephistopheles.
Bardot said, while we were married, all told, I don't think we spent more than 3 months together. I cheated on Gunter, of course, and he was unfaithful too, a lot more than I was.
Jesus Christ. It was the end of a journey.
Yeah.
In a biography of French pop star Serge Gainsbourg, pronounced like Serge.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a famous French
soda.
musician.
Yes.
Yes, I've played him on the jukebox.
You have. Gainsbourg had a passionate but short-lived love affair with Bardot during her marriage to Sachs.
Did an album with her.
Yeah. He said Brigitte is still married to Gunter Sachs, but he's getting on her nerves. He dreams of making a movie with her and recruits Gerard Braque to write the script. Bardot hates the project. To avoid doing it, she signs on for Shalako, which is supposed to start shooting in Andalusia come January with Sean Connery. In May of 1967, Gunter forces her to present his film Potluck at Cannes.
Jesus!
It's a documentary he had produced about the animals of Kenya. The rumors of divorce start running rampant. On July 13th, their first wedding anniversary ends in a huge fight.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsie. Not a fun party. Not a prank.
During the summer, Brigitte shoots a short piece with Alain Delon, part of the Histories Extraordinaire, based on the book by Edgar Allan Poe and directed by Louis Malle. And it is then that she cheats on her husband with one of the assistants, a story she tells in her autobiography.
Oh, an assistant.
Well, yeah, no, she's really going, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fuck this guy.
Yeah. Another one of her lovers from that era who opted to remain anonymous recounts the following. Quote, Gunter Sachs was a despicable character, a total bore with no moral standards or any warmth. A reactionary Teuton, odiously arrogant and nasty, who would indulge himself by screaming at gas station attendants or waiters when he wasn't served promptly enough. Take away his money and he was nothing. For him, marrying Bardot was a question of social status. He really put one over on her. I don't know. It's an anonymous thing too. It's like, I don't know. I'm not getting that anywhere else but here, but it totally could be true.
Could be.
You know,
Or that could be just the version of him he got.
Yeah, and it's also some guy that was a lover of Bardot.
Yeah, it was fucking Hugh Hefner or something.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't putting one over. Maybe just thought that would be cool and fun. But I could see him yelling at gas station attendants and waiters.
Bardot herself said, I had not married a man alone, but a group of swaying around playboys who were forged more closely by complicity than a marriage could ever do. In their lives, the women certainly did not function as a woman in the most positive sense. They were looking for beautiful, young, and preferably stupid companions. Bad luck for Gunter. Since I didn't have the latter qualification, I was increasingly annoying to him. He played around and I stood in his way. They officially divorced in 1969, and he publicly complained after the marriage, quote, it is a hard fate to be the companion of a sun-worshipping woman.
What? Rolf?
Yeah.
She's a real thun worship.
I was getting stuck in the dryer.
She's like my solar fist.
She was like worshiping my son, Rolf.
Little swine.
I'm a simple man from Pig Farm.
The hot French broad comes around and starts worshiping my son, Rolf. I ain't having it.
They ain't with us no more.
Yeah, suddenly he's
I don't know.
he's iced tea for no reason. The divorce ended without much acrimony, and
He's iced tea for no reason.
the New York Times had referred to Sachs as someone who had been linked romantically at some time or other with half the great beauties in Europe. Nobody petitioned for alimony or support or anything. Sachs sent her some diamonds after the whole thing had been resolved. She went on to sell the jewels to use the funds to support her animal rights charities. Gunter joined forces with Prince Constantine of Bavaria to co-found and head the Association for the Modern Art Museum in Munich. The association lobbied for the construction of a modern art museum in Munich. They worked on the project from 1967 to 1975. They mounted monthly art exhibitions at Villa Struck, an old historic home and museum in Munich. Artists like Victor Vasarely, George Baselitz, Heinz Edelman, Christo, Cy Twombly, Alexander Calder, Heinz Mack, and Jean Chingley, Roy Lichtenstein, and Gotthard Graubner would be displayed at the new museum's rooms.
I know one of those people.
Turns out I don't know shit about
One of Gunter's most famous residences was an apartment in the tower of the Palace Hotel in St. Moritz, Switzerland. In 1969, he gave it a pop art overhaul, and the space garnered major attention from the art world. The sculptor and designer Diego Giacometti created a table for him. Alan Jones, a star from the 60s British pop art scene, was one of Gunter's favorites. He created a set of furniture for Gunter that used fetishistic female mannequins.
Oh.
Fun.
And Gunter, he liked the female nudes. It was a big part of his art collection.
For most,
Yeah.
you know.
Alan Jones remembered one of his stays at the penthouse. It was the most risky place I had ever been in. One wall of the apartment seemed to be entirely glass with a breathtaking view of the Alps. There were Liechtenstein panels around the bathroom, a flock of Lilane sheep on the carpet, and a set of my sculptures.
Another wall was just purely glory holes,
John Wayne was.
And it was glorious.
wasn't it?
After his divorce from Bordeaux, he got back into the dating scene, but he cheated on her, so he never really left. He met a 26-year-old Swedish model named Mirja Larsson. They became engaged within a year and married before the end of '69. Before the wedding, she told Time magazine, "I'm not afraid of his past. It doesn't touch me. In him, I found the husband I've always dreamed of." She would give birth to 2 sons, Christian Gunnar in '71 and Klaus Alexander, born in '82.
Hey, contemporary.
Yes. From '69 onward, he was the bobsleigh club's chairman at St. Moritz. And the Turn 13 in the St. Moritz Celerina Olympic Bob Run is named in his honor.
Turn number 13. Lucky
Yes.
number 13.
Mm-hmm. Rolf said of his father's art collecting, there was never a thought of it being an investment. In fact, he stopped collecting in the 70s because he was disillusioned with the art market. It became so aggressive. It had a strong business component.
Yeah.
Gunter created a private social club in St. Moritz, the Dracula Club.
Dracula's?
Dracula.
I love a Dracula club.
Yeah.
They only meet during the daytime.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to ask. They have to give you
This ain't no
permission.
Frankenstein shit.
No, man.
This is Dracula.
Hello.
Hello?
They have a cool leather jacket or anything like that.
Yeah. Clamatos.
The Guardian reported that it became a hotspot for ravenous parties.
A Dracula club?
The Dracula Club.
Old as time.
He was surrounded by like-minded playboys, hedonists,
Vampires.
Good
that type of
guys.
shit. I mean, you gotta say, Dracula is the ultimate playboy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Guys, girls,
Yeah.
Whatever.
wolves, piles of rats.
I mean, honestly. Can you play him?
So he had studied mathematics and economics, and after 1970, it was said that he became less of a loafer. Yeah, he starts going for it a little bit more.
Okay.
He opens art galleries in Hamburg and Munich in '71. He's the first person to bring Andy Warhol and for a special exhibit, and he was working professionally as a photographer from '72 onward.
Cool. You know he's in his 40s.
He would be
Late 30s.
1930. I forget what I said. I think it was. I think it was 32. So he's just turning 40 now.
Yeah.
And Andy is his personal friend. He was probably the most famous collector of pop art in the world in the early 1970s. His son Rolf recalled how the exhibition went. Quote, "Nothing sold. My father was highly embarrassed, and he bought most of the exhibition himself, which was, of course, the best investment he ever made."
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's
Warhol
getting
shit,
all this.
I guess I gotta get
He's
it.
getting it out of embarrassment. And meanwhile, he has no fucking idea.
That it's going to just
Yeah.
balloon.
Is it true that absolutely nothing sold? Rolf said, "I wasn't there. It gets embellished every time, but so what? It has something beautiful about it. Stories should have a poetic dreaming effect."
Oh.
So you can see this myth building
Yeah.
thing is
Yeah.
also still playing a role here, you know? So Rolf likes to tell the story of at the end of the Warhol exhibit in Hamburg. Quote, 120 bottles of champagne were empty, but not a single picture had been sold because the Hamburg money bags didn't know where to begin. Gunter went around that night sticking red sold stickers on half the paintings. The exhibition was a great success, but he ended up owning more than he intended. In 1973, French Vogue printed their first ever nude photo shot by Gunter Sachs.
Oh my God, who is it?
And it was quite a stir
Roger
in the
Moore.
media. He was getting recognition in the photo world in 1974. He had a show at the Photokina trade show, which is a trade fair in Europe for photographic and imaging industries. He also designed the official exhibition poster for Photokina that year. Warhol created a series of silkscreen portraits of Brigitte Bardot for Sachs in 1974 at his request.
And Dr. Manhattan. I remember
Yeah.
all those Watchmen ones.
Yeah, those are hard to get.
Yeah.
You got to go to a whole different universe.
I like Night Owl too myself.
In 2006, one of those silk screens sold for $3 million. One.
You gotta get them all.
And Warhol also did portraits of Gunter.
Oh.
Sachs became a Swiss citizen in 1976. He'd done so much to revive interest in St. Moritz that the police didn't intervene when he and his rich friends were holding car races on frozen lakes in the middle of the night.
Oh my God. Nobody died?
How fucking insane!
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys out there and
Can you imagine the
cars?
sound?
Yeah.
Shit! Scheiße! Merde! Switzerland, multilingual.
Yes.
In 1976, he received a photography award, the Leica Award. Leica Camera is a German company that makes cameras, lenses, binoculars, and rifle scopes.
How
Like is
convenient.
very, very good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. In 1977, his older brother Ernst died in an avalanche.
Oh my God.
Avalanche of money.
Avalanche of pussy.
Yeah. The very next year, Gunter crossed the Alps by himself in a hot air balloon. You can see him right there.
Hey, cool. Hot air balloons.
Yeah, you,
Fucking Benihana guy.
avalanche proof.
Yeah.
Hot air balloons.
Yeah. Got whisked away to a land called Oz. What else?
What else? In Andy Warhol's memoirs, he mentioned Sachs as one of the young Europeans who traveled to New York and did the whole Studio 54 thing. He'd write, at the time,
Ozymandias.
yes. He'd write, at the time you didn't think much of it, but it was fun. You don't appreciate those moments enough because you don't realize. Very deep, Andy.
Idiot.
Frog. Toad. Oh, that's it. God damn it.
Oh, what was that from?
That was
Toad.
Joe Kay's,
Yeah.
the woman who shot Andy Warhol.
Yeah, that's French. Call him a
Valerie
Toad.
Solanas. Yeah. Frog.
Gunter partied hard and hosted some of the most spectacular parties in Playboy history through the 60s and 70s. Those events often took place on his yacht named Dracula.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
And he got into some debauchery. He had close
Yeah,
links.
of course he did.
He had close links to Roberto Suarez Gomez, a.k.a. the king of cocaine, a Bolivian trafficker and drug lord. He was one of the Medellin cartel's major suppliers.
Wow.
Cool.
Gunter used an intricate system of offshore accounts to manage his vast estate. Authorities could never penetrate his operations during his lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
He had that edge because he lived on the line between sensible and wayward. In 1991, he worked with the German model Claudia Schiffer on a photo series called Heroines. At the Photokina conventions in 94 and 95, he received prizes for his photos at the German Photo Days. His body of work as a photographer is full of a lot of surreal nudes and surreal landscapes. His works were published in 7 different volumes. The proceeds from illustrated books and from the sale of photographs went to his wife's foundation, Mirja Sachs Foundation, that helps children in need. When he was 62 in 1994, he founded an institute that sought to provide scientific evidence for astrological predictions.
Oh, that's so weird.
He named it the Institute for Empirical and Mathematical Examination of the Possible Truth of Astrology in Relation to Human Behavior.
Or the Dracula Foundation.
That's a Dracula.
That's a Dracula.
He was fascinated by astrology. He wrote a book called Astrology File that reached the bestsellers list. He appeared on TV chat shows and produced a huge body of questionable statistics to prove his conclusions.
God.
Great. I love those.
To write the book, he commissioned a statistical astrological study. He set up the, quote, empirical examination of the possible truth of astrology in relation to human behavior. The goal was to gather and analyze 10 million items of data from Switzerland's official statistics. He would say that the study cost less than a luxury car. He said, quote,
Well, for him.
This is not a book of predictions. It is a sensational book which shows conclusive evidence of connection between events and star signs, marriage, divorce, single people, suicide, academic life, work, illness, death, criminal activities, and driving accidents are all analyzed with extensive user-friendly charts and graphs to enable the reader to spot his own data and those of his closest friends, lovers, partners, children, and relatives.
Dogs.
At a glance.
Yeah, women get into astrology, men get into statistics.
So the results of this were published in the Astrology File in 1997, became a bestseller, Mathematicians have criticized Sachs' methodology and statistical analysis when it comes to astrology. They have found serious errors in all aspects of his works. They've concluded that his data does not show any statistical significance and should be dismissed.
Yeah. It's all fucking bullshit.
Yeah, then he goes, yeah, but it says Scorpios are really bad at math and statistics, so isn't it right?
Figure that out. Checkmate, atheist. He was an early experimenter with digital photography. Rolf said, quote, he always wanted to find the new, and even at 72 in 2004, he started collecting graffiti art. We have tons of it. It shows a curious mind, a young mind, looking for what is the next thing and the next trend. In 2010...
He's Banksy.
Yeah. In 2010, he did an interview where he lamented that he had just one regret. Quote, I don't think there are many Playboys left.
Good. I mean, if that's your only regret, man. That's
that's not what you can do.
Now, on the 7th of May, 2011, it was a Saturday, and he was at his ski chalet in Stadt, Switzerland.
a long way from Schweinfurt.
At 78 years old, he shot himself in the head.
Holy shit.
On
Yeah.
purpose?
Yes.
Dude, that's awesome.
His body was found by a family member. Rolf Sachs confirmed his father's death and his method of suicide to the German celebrity magazine Gunter and the German news weekly Focus, or Focus. Other members of the Sachs family confirmed Rolf's statements and had added that Gunter Sachs had been suffering from an incurable degenerative disease. He was both a very public figure and a very private figure up until the end. He told his family to publish a suicide note.
Oh, let's hear it.
The signed letter stated that he had, quote, a no-hope illness and hopeless illness A. Most have assumed that A meant Alzheimer's disease. He outlined symptoms like forgetfulness that are typical of the condition like Alzheimer's. Yeah. It looked like he diagnosed himself as having Alzheimer's. His family did not say he'd had that diagnosis from a physician.
But based on his own statistics.
Yeah,
Well, and where the fucking moon was.
Yeah.
Fucking Scorpio rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy sees fucking Mars up over fucking the Alps, and he's like, oh shit, I got Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Bridget.
See?
Barton. What else? Moreover, quote, the loss of mental control over my life was an undignified condition, which I decided to counter decisively. I love that.
Decisive.
I love that phrasing. I'm countering it decisively.
I mean, I put a bullet in my head.
Yeah.
I win this round.
He explained further that he regarded any, quote, threat he would face as, quote, as the only criteria that would lead me to bring my life to an end. Laura notes here that you probably remember that Robin Williams had
Lewy body dementia.
Lewy body dementia, and it was probably his most critical factor in deciding to commit suicide in 2014. His widow, Susan Williams, wrote an editorial published in the journal Neurology where she said, quote, Robin was losing his mind and he was aware of it. Can you imagine the pain he felt as he felt himself disintegrating?
Yeah.
And Rolf, speaking about his father, he and the conclusion that he had Alzheimer's and that was incurable. And he said, quote, perhaps in his mind it was speculation. Whenever something like this happens, obviously there is chemistry involved, chemical imbalances which do things to your mind. He sounded like he forgave his father, but perhaps the news hadn't fully sunken in. Quote, it came as a big shock to us all, but as a family we are not bitter towards him. I admire the courage.
Yeah, not that they were hurting for resources or anything, but the family members of people going through Alzheimer's, those degenerative diseases of the brain, and mind.
Yeah, it does.
Brutal.
It traumatizes them.
Yes. Yeah, and it's very, very hard just to keep that person alive.
Yeah.
And go through them not recognizing you, having emotional outbursts and stuff.
Like when Uncle Junior has it in Sopranos, and he keeps telling Tony that he never had the makings of a varsity athlete. It's hurtful.
Yeah, it's hurtful, Junior.
It's hurtful.
Yeah,
but that's interesting. That is an interesting part of that thing in the show. He's like the things that they often will repeat are things that are like negative.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's also probably a lot of fear going through that brain.
Oh God! And then your heart just going out for them. I mean, God.
Yeah.
Switzerland has some of the most liberal laws in the world when it comes to acquiring firearms. Now, I could be wrong here, and maybe one of you can tell me, but I believe it was a thing. Maybe after the war, where
you had to have a gun.
You had to.
Yeah. Everybody's trained on firearm usage and
like man, woman, child. Like
it's kind of like an
everybody just has a rifle.
Yeah, and it's like compulsory military service it's a small country, so it's easy to do that. It's relatively uniform or
But
homogenous.
very interesting for a famously neutral country.
Yeah, but they also have like the Swiss guards are the guards for the Pope and the Vatican. Like they are. It's a quietly militarized country. Like they can raise pylons out of the roads to like stop tanks from coming through. They can control like a quarter of Europe's freshwater supply.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they have all that fucking Nazi gold.
Yeah. Well, that's where you get your pylons.
But yeah, they I when I went there, I remember learning about, everyone is, it's kind of a gendarme kind of thing. Everyone's on call.
Yeah, sure.
Apparently you're not required to have a license to own a gun, but you must be issued a permit to purchase most types of firearms. And also of interesting note, assisted suicide has been legal in Switzerland since 1941.
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
1941. Fuck,
It's a good place.
right in the thick of it. They were like, "Hey,
All right, well,
you want to
come
get
on.
out of here?" Because
I mean, it's pretty great here, but if you want to go
yeah, either do this or pick up a gun.
or make a watch or some chocolate or something, dude, like,
Ski, I don't care.
come on,
Bobsled. What are you doing?
it's fucking great here.
It was the first country in the world to allow assisted dying of any kind. So if he wanted to seek out euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide because of Alzheimer's, he could have done it in Switzerland. And he also had the means to seek out euthanasia in a foreign country if he wanted. But it seems like he wanted to do it and go out his way.
Yeah.
A spokesman for Brigitte Bardot's animal rights charity replied to the media request for a comment from Bardot. They said she was devastated by her ex-husband's death. If you believe the estimation provided by the Swiss business magazine Bilanz, Gunter Sachs' personal fortune was between 340 and 450 million at the time of his death. A few months after his father's death, Rolf set up a very fitting memorial. He had 3,500 candles floating on the lake in St. Moritz in the shape of a Scorpio symbol.
That's so stupid.
So Scorpio.
In May of 2012, the Sachs family sold part of Gunter's art pop and nouveau realism collections through Sotheby's auction house. And Rolf himself is also a professional artist and designer, and he was arranging the auction of his father's collections. Sotheby's itself called the sale, quote, among the most desirable single-owner collections ever to come to market. Rolf explained the family's feelings on the sale, quote, people have said, oh my God, you're selling the collection, but the real core of his collection is staying in the family.
Yeah.
One of Yves Klein's pieces in the sale was Le Feu, l'Enfer, a piece made using an industrial blowtorch at a state-owned gas research facility near Paris. They're also selling pieces by Max Ernst, Magritte, Dali, thickly painted gold canvas by Lucio Fontana, estimated to fetch as much as 900,000 pounds at auction. Sachs bought one of his last Warhols in 1998, quote, self-portrait, fright wig. Of Andy, Fright wig.
That's right near Schweinfall.
That was made by Warhol in 1986, just only a year before his death. That one piece sold between 2 and 3 million. When the Guardian reporter talked to Rolf about selling his father's collection, he was in a great mood. Quote,
Yeah.
The report said, quote, beaming with pride at a purchase he had made at auction that day. A vampire killing set from around 1900, which he can't wait to show to fellow members of the Dracula Club.
Hey, David, check this out.
Woo! Quote, it's the most secretive club in St. Moritz, but Rolf says it's all in good fun. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
some
if
you're a
else to say.
vampire.
Yeah.
They're having fun.
Dude, we got to get into this.
Yeah.
He said, Father created it, and it's a very nice group of friends. Every member loves being part of bloodlessness.
Well, yeah, you're killing.
Yeah.
Listen, man, Van Helsing allowed in there? Dutchman?
Oof.
The family assembled a museum exhibition of Gunter Sachs' collection for the Villa Stuck in Munich. Open to the public October 2012, Rolf Sachs has taken on some of his father's responsibilities, like being the vice president of the Cresta Run, a natural
And banging Brigitte Bardot.
a natural ice skeleton racing toboggan track in Switzerland.
Ah.
So that's when you're just like on a board and you're just going
yeah.
through the natural ice.
Yeah, dude. I've seen that on the Olympics.
So these are some pictures of Gunter,
Oh,
and she finds him. Laura finds him to look a bit like Roman Polanski.
he does.
Yeah.
The nose,
Yeah,
the hair.
but yeah, that's the story of Gunter.
Gunter Sachs.
Gunter
The
Sachs.
last Playboy.
Yeah.
There's a song. God, who is it? But I think Morrissey's got a song. Last of the International Playboys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe we'll play it in the Patreon or at the end of this episode.
Oh. Wow.
Very interesting. I'm gonna
Very, very interesting. Yeah, it's a fascinating guy.
Yeah, it looks like a Gunter.
But he has all that sporty stuff in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, it seems like he does I think, around the time he hits 40, he kind of is like, am I going to be a joke my whole life?
Right.
And then he starts kind of getting serious. And then
Even those guys have that.
Yeah.
That crisis.
Their midlife crisis is just based the higher up.
Yeah.
And there's a thing there too where you go like, okay, well, it's not as if he has to naturally be good at photography. Like French Vogue might like having be the photographer just because of who he is.
Yeah, right.
But I mean,
But he was
I don't think his nepo shit could carry him that far.
Right. I mean, when you have the means and the time, you can get really good at shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also surrounded by the best artists of the day.
Yeah, so you learn.
So you kind of are gonna know like I can't like toss out no shit here.
Yeah.
But it also influences you. If you're waking up every day and your house is full of the best new art of the last 10 years, some of that's gonna get stuck in your brain. So the next time you take a picture, you're gonna be using some of that.
And his taste was, it seems very genuine in art, and then, I mean, really just, like you said, like the best investment he ever made was just all of this shit, and he got it when all of these guys were not really that famous,
Right.
So it seems like he did actually have an eye.
Yeah, he saw something.
Yeah.
And that was just a fucking bonus because he never needed it.
No.
It's crazy.
Gunter Sachs, baby.
Gunter Sachs.
Yeah.
Gunter.
Yeah, it's a name you hear, but I never knew the story of.
Yeah, fascinating character. I have to extend my thanks again to Laura for doing a great
Thank
job
you,
on
Laura.
that one.
Great
And
job.
gentlemen, thank you for your
Thank
two
you to
wonderful
you boys.
profiles.
Thank
Really, really enjoyed that.
That was fun.
3 Playboys.
Yeah.
Told by 3 Slay Boys.
Oh.
All right, gentlemen.
Well,
That's it.
I'm going to say
Very
goodnight.
nice.
I love you. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Mapper Soap.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night.